Welcome to the Sin Bin Podcast, your home for all the news, analysis, and discussion around your Bloomington Bison.
Let's drop the puck and get started.
Welcome back to episode 18 of the Sin Bin Podcast. Finally, only took 2.5 weeks. We're sorry for the lack of updates there. We'll make sure to update you next time, but we've just been having a hectic schedule. So we'll make sure, again, to update you guys next time before that. But before we get into those games, we have a lot to recap since we've been here for missing for 2.5 weeks. But
that we do.
Before we do that, we have a big announcement. Buster knows. Buster's excited about it. Buster's excited. I know, but we got 100 subscribers. I know. It's so exciting. I can't hold my excitement either. Yeah, I know. It's so cool. Here, have this. I know you're not going to be quiet anyway, but we can try. But yeah, 100 subscribers. Thank all of you guys who subscribe. We're at a 102 now.
Yes.
And thank you guys. Glad you guys are enjoying the content. I honestly never even thought we would get to 100, quite honestly. I was more doing this for fun to start off and like needing somewhere to vent my hockey stuff. So I'm glad that people are interested, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content. We'll keep it up when we're not incredibly busy like this past week. But yes, thank you guys so much for it. We were thinking of doing a 100 subscriber special, but now that we've missed so much, we just have so much to recover. We might have to...
Yeah, maybe we'll sprinkle it in. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how much time we have today. But without further ado, we can get into it after that last. Thank you guys for 100 subscribers. So when we talked last, it was the 2 Toledo games. Boo, Toledo, boo, boo. But after that last loss, the next game was against Kalamazoo on Halloween. To the surprise of nobody, attendance wasn't insane because it was, Halloween. Pretty sure most people could have expected that, but it was a good game. 4-2 win for the Bison. I'll check the game sheet here real quick, but yeah, who else but Riku Ishida with 2 goals in the game, both power play goals. And yeah, after going up 1 in the first, they tied it in the second, and then Ishida on the power play in the second twice. Got us the lead. One more goal by Kalamazoo made it 3-2. And then one last goal by who else but Kyle Jackson, who continues to be on a torrid pace.
I love that man.
Oh, he's been fantastic for the Bison.
I love Kyle Jackson.
He's been great. He's been our best player. No, Buster, you already have your treats. Yeah, Kyle Jackson, seriously, been fantastic. That was the Halloween game. Then, no, don't squeak it into the microphone, Bubby. Then, the next game, they traveled to Cincinnati, ended up losing in overtime to the Cyclones. And I remember when that happened, that was Hugo Olas in net. And he did pretty good that game. I'm not going to pounce on him, except for maybe that goal in OT. That was maybe should have had that. But... overall, good game by Olas still.
I'll give him his credit from last year to this year.
Exactly.
A couple rough performances, but he's definitely bounced back.
Definitely bounced back from those performances, definitely looked better, and he proved me wrong on the first time, so I'm going to give him a lot more leeway now because I wasn't giving him leeway, and then he proved me wrong. So he's going to have to prove me wrong fully again for me to start not believing in Olas again. So still got plenty for him, though Tung was in theory the starter, but we'll get to that. Then that Wednesday, the 5th, Bison went to Indy and won 4-2. That was a pretty good game. That was, again, in Indy, so to be able to go to Indy and win 4-2 was huge. And it was a good start. And then the weekend happened. The first game on that Friday, they traveled to Indy again and lost 5-0. And that's brutal, especially with how much good offensive firepower is on this team. You just can't get shut out, especially with an opponent like the Fuel. Because we'll get into it when I look at the standings, but like the Fuel are once again going to be our biggest competitor this year and close in the standings. If the standings continue to look like they have at the start of the season, it's going to be the Fuel as the biggest competitor for that 4th spot in the division.
And last year we talked about it down the stretch. We had I think it was a 3 or 4 games in a row against Indy.
Oh yeah, it was like a 4 or 5 game stretch.
I mean,
yeah.
you talk about coming down to the wire, and guess who it was? It was the Fuel. Well, shocker, like you said, it's them again this year, and I think that's kind of the next step when you look at like development of a team. That's going to be their next step for the Bison? I think is being able to consistently play well.
Yep.
Against Indy, because now you figured out, okay, that's a team that is on the bubble of where we want to be at, and they're going to want to compete with us. So let's take that next step and consistently beat them.
Exactly. So, yeah, Indy's going to definitely be the big one. That Friday was not great. Then the next day we had it at home. You'd expect it to be better, and then another rough performance. Again, you got to give some credit to the Fuel goalie. He was great over that 2-game span. 1 goal allowed in 2 games. Seriously good goaltending and defense by the Fuel there, ending up getting them 2 wins, which is huge. Again, we'll talk about it more in the standings, but those 2 wins were huge for the Fuel in particular. So if we were able to come out with a win in either of those 2 games, the standings would look much different. So that's a little bit of ugh. Wish we could have won those 2, but short memory. All right, you can't be hung up on it. It's frustrating. It's annoying, especially with a team that you're so close competitive with. But
I think that's one of those situations where it's early enough in the season, obviously now, and like you said, the players and the coaches, yeah, they have to have short memory. But it's early enough in the season from a fan perspective. I think you're like, okay, gotta have it probably, but we'll move on. But later on in the season, when it gets down to the stretch.
Oh yeah, you're gonna need to win those games. Exactly. Those 2 games against the Fuel, I'm sure, are gonna come in handy. And then that Sunday, they traveled to Kalamazoo and lost in the shootout. They have not been able to get a shootout done, unfortunately. But at least a point, we'll take it against Kalamazoo
in their barn.
In their barn, and you got a point. So that is notable. You really would have liked to win that game, especially against Kalamazoo, one of the lower teams in the division this year. But again, short memory. You can't get hung up on it. And sure enough, they didn't either. As the final 2 games, we'll get into a little bit more. But that first game, here again, just 3 days ago, November 14th, they took on the Heartlanders at home. And sure enough, that was a really good game. Chris Ortiz with 2 assists on there in his season debut, I'm pretty sure. So great start for him. Brett Budgel, and also, just real quick, Parker Galvis has been really good on the defensive end so far. It's been pretty insane on how great he's been on the defense. He scored 2 goals over the weekend. Which is huge, especially for a defenseman. So, I mean, I guess unless you want to count Friday as not the weekend. But, yeah, Parker Galvis, seriously, making himself known. I was not expecting that out of him. He came out of the U Sports League. And normally that's a lesser league than the NCAA, just because it's the Canadian hockey. I mean, you'd think Canadian hockey might be better, but normally, again, I'm always an NCAA guy. I think they're really one of the best. But he's proven me wrong. He's been a top pairing defenseman with us, along with Shidov. And Shidov was more expected. So, seriously, props to Parker Gavlis. Excuse me. It always gets me because there's Theo Calvis, LV.
They got some tough names.
And then Parker Gavlis, VL. So I always got to remember to Gavlis and Calvis. But other big news that we were actually away for that I really want to talk about because he played in that game. Dryden McKay is back.
Your boy Dryden.
My boy. Oh, and he had a great game there too. It was
the hometown kid.
I mean, admittedly, Bloomington really dominated that game. Shots were 38-20 in favor of Bloomington, but still 20 shots, 1 goal allowed. Great performance from McKay there. he seriously has looked like he picked up right where he left off, and I just can't gush enough about McKay. I mean, again, he's the NCAA all-time leader in shutouts, like over Ryan Miller. Like that's not a like a small stat. He, in fact, not only was he a Hobie Baker winner, but he was a Hobie Baker finalist the year prior to that too. People forget about that too. He was a
super impressive
multiple year in the Hobie Baker conversation, which is a big that's big. I mean, Hobie Baker's nothing to scoff at. So seriously, I think McKay is a great ad, and especially with what we're talking about with Tongue later, that's needed.
I was going to say, look out for Dryden McKay, because as we've talked about, and we'll talk about Tongue in a minute, but you're going to need people to step up throughout the season for a multitude of reasons, whether it be injury or otherwise, but look out for Dryden McKay, because I think he's going to have a very important role on this team.
Oh, absolutely. I think so, too. And this is nothing to Barzewski, who was traded for him. We basically just traded back Barzewski for McKay to the Grizzlies, who they signed with.
That was really interesting.
That was kind of funny, but I'm not going to complain. I'm a big fan of McKay, so I'm glad he's back on the team, and he's likely the starter now. But yeah, seriously, huge game from them. It was Budgel and Gavlis on the goals, and then the last goal in the third was who else? But it was an empty netter from your captain, Eddie Matsushima. Great play by Shidov on that play too, to just lift the puck out and get it where only Matsushima, who was streaking towards the empty net, could get it.
100 career goals for him, I think.
100 career goals for your captain. So big ups there. Buster, you don't know how to stop talking, don't you? You're like me. You just don't know when to shut up, huh? But yeah, big win there, especially against a hated rival. And then the next game, it was a back-to-back, not a homestand, but a one game at our barn, one game at theirs. So we went to Iowa on that Saturday, the 15th, and sure enough, 3-1 again, another 3-1 win. That one, Tongue was in net, and that one was kind of the opposite, where the first game, Bloomington really dominated the chances and got the 3-1 win. This one, Iowa had 10 more shots on goal than the Bison did. Again, shots don't matter, goals do. But still, Parker Gavlis, Kyle Jackson again. I feel like I'm always mentioning his name. And then Daniel Tedesco getting his second of the year as well on there. So seriously, big weekend this past weekend for the Bison. Really looking a lot better. They seem to be more fully healthy and stuff like that. But 2 big wins this weekend, which we can then get into the standings now that we've talked about all of the games we've had, and it's looking nice.
Before you reveal the standings, I just want to point this out, because I think this is huge, and this is why the standings are the way that they are. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you got the schedule pulled up. But out of that 8 or 9 game stretch, we got a point in almost every single game, except for the couple of the Fuel games.
The 2 Fuel losses were the only ones we didn't, because the other loss was against Kalamazoo, and that was a shootout loss, so we still got a point. Same thing with the Cincinnati game, overtime. Still got a point on that.
And when you're able to pull out points, even if it's just 1 point, the fact that they're racking up as many points as they can early in the season, it will bode better for them later, even though hopefully it won't come down to the wire like it did last year. But if it does,
every
overtime points matter, people.
I mean, I've talked about my disdain for loser points before, but that's the way that every North American Hockey League works. And whether I like that startup or not doesn't really matter, because that's how it is. So
you'll love it when the Bison get in the playoffs because of them.
Yeah, based off of loser points, I'll say, oh, wait, never mind. I liked them the whole time. But no, yeah, Bison right now sitting at 5-3-3. So they're technically below 500, but they're above fake 500. And yeah, it's been, I mean, they've been competitive in basically every single game they've won. 2 of those losses of those non-overtime losses, again, to the Fuel. So if you can tighten up those games against the Fuel, you're looking really good in the future. Right now, looking in the standings, we're actually tied in points with the Fuel. We have one less win than them, and two more shootout losses than them. They just have two regular losses. They're 6-5-1. But with that, they've also played one more game. So we do have a game in hand on them. And the only other teams above us then are the Walleye, shocker, and the Comets, also not really a shocker. I mean, those two are probably, we probably could have predicted at the beginning of the season that those two are going to be the top two teams in the division. But that third spot and fourth spot are open. We are above the Cyclones. Cyclones actually above 500, 6-5. No losses in extra time so far.
Wow.
For them. They're on a 2-game winning streak as well. And then the Heartlanders, after a strong start, have they had a rough little bit of it. After, again, starting really strong, they're on a 2-game losing streak right now, and by that I mean they lost the 2 games to us. But 5-7-1.
They hit an absolute brick wall.
They started off strong, and then right now they have the most games played out of anyone in the division, and yet are sitting on second to last.
That's not great for them.
Yeah, not great for them. However, the good news for them is the difference between 1 and 6. Again, it's early in the season. Like the Fuel, other than the Comets and Walleye, who have 16 and 14 points respectively, the Fuel and Bison both have 13, the Cyclones have 12, and the Heartlanders have 11. So they're all right there. They are all incredibly close in the standings right now. Good for the Cyclones, honestly, taking a step after a rough year last year. I mean, obviously, I don't necessarily want our division to be better, but...
well, if our division is better, that means we're going to get better. Hopefully.
That's true.
Hopefully.
So, yeah, Cyclones are in the mix now. The only team that's really not is Kalamazoo, and they are 3-8. So
shout out Kalamazoo, greatest hockey game I've ever been to in my life last year.
Oh yeah, still got to shout out that 5-4 overtime win, or not overtime win. It was in regulation. They managed to pull it out in regulation. I forgot that, but seriously, that was one of the best games I've ever seen as well. But yeah, no, Kalamazoo. That's why that shootout loss really hurt against Kalamazoo, because that's a team. I mean, they're bottom of the division, and they're pretty solidly in the bottom of the division right now. So you got to win those games against Kalamazoo. Unless they're going to mount a comeback, which I'm crossing my fingers that doesn't happen. They're probably the team that is the easiest on your divisional schedule. So you definitely got to come out with at least 1 point, which they did. They came out with a point, but you really want 2 against Kalamazoo.
Can I just go on a little rant here?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna play Dylan here for 1 second on his hockey rants, okay? Oops. I'm going to equate this, you know me, football, okay? I like football, I like to equate it, but I'm going to equate this to the who else but the Chicago Bears, okay? Beat the teams you should beat, and if you can squeak out some games against the teams that you shouldn't beat, statistically, you're doing your job.
Yep.
So when we beat the sucky teams, all right, and people come at you, if you ever hear people come at you because we beat the bottom people in our division, they're like, oh, well, look at their record. Who gives a flying you-know-what? Because it's a win. So you don't apologize for it, people.
Yep. No,
okay?
amen. The Bears.
You move on.
Yeah, the Bears, after watching them this year, especially after our joke in the second one, after they went 0-2 to start, I'm glad I did it. I must have turned their fortunes around with that short, because as soon as I did that, they turned a switch. But no, they've proven that. I mean, from what I've really come to realize over the past 2 years in sports, it's just doesn't matter how. A win is a win.
It doesn't matter. No,
they don't ask how, they ask how many. And if it doesn't matter if it doesn't look good, it doesn't matter if there's issues to address. There's always going to be stuff to address after a win and a loss. There's always stuff to get better. You're never a perfect team, no matter what sport you're playing. You can always get better in certain aspects. So the biggest thing is just a win is a win. It doesn't matter if you got outshot 40-10. If you win, it's a win. There's stuff you need to work on, but a win is a win. And to get those wins is what's important. Doesn't matter how, it matters how many.
And even the overtime points, like even if you lose in the overtime, who cares?
Yep.
You fought hard enough to get the overtime point, so you know what? much to your dismay, Mr. Dylan, loser points Skeen, it matters.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I just don't love the loser points. But again, I don't really have control over that, so sucks to suck for me. But yeah, so halfway through the season, we are technically in the playoff spot right now, since there's the top 4 in the division, and we are number 4 right now. So again, yeah, I'm very sure it's going to be Toledo and Fort Wayne in those top 2 spots. So really, Indy, Cincinnati, and Iowa those are the teams that you like. Those are the major games you really need to win, because those are the ones you're fighting for the most for a playoff spot.
For the love of God, I really hope it does not have deja vu of last year at the end of the season.
I don't think it will.
I've already died the last 10 weeks of the NFL season. I've already died about 8-9 times. I do not need to die more because of the ECHL end of the year fiasco. So
yeah.
We need to just take control. That's all I'm saying.
No, yeah. Solidify that playoff spot would be really nice. But also, you're starting to see the team gel more.
Yes.
We talked about it early in the season, how like there's a lot of new faces. They need to learn to gel and stuff. Some of them, you've seen them take that step to really become that person. Like Shidov, I mean, again, KHL defenseman, I expected him to be very good, but he's really solidified his role as that number 1 on the team. All situations defenseman, he's on the penalty kill, he's on the power play. He's that number 1 you really look for, and I think we can keep him on the team for a long time for less being called up. And the same thing with Kyle Jackson. That's a huge addition, because Kyle Jackson, I don't know if he's going to get called up. I don't know if he's someone, and he's someone that could really lead this team and stay on the team along with on that top line with Eddie. Could be really good, because certain other guys that are really important to this team have already been called up, and that leads us into our next part. We have had 3 different call-ups since we last talked. The first was before this weekend, and that was Chongmin Lee got recalled to the Cleveland Monsters of the AHL. He played that game against Chicago, first AHL game. So congrats to Chonger there. That's big for him. I'm happy to see him in the A. It's never like I'm sad for him. I'm glad he's doing good. I just selfishly want him on my team. But yeah, seriously, he got called up. So Chongmin Lee not on the team right now. We knew that was going to be a possibility when he signed with the Monsters. I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly, but when you're that good, sometimes you got to go to the higher level if you're just that good and they want you there. So good for Chonger. Second call-up was Chris Ortiz. Again, we talked about him making his season debut. Finally got on the team, and then, and you're gone.
Too good.
Too good. Yeah, played really well in those 2 games against Iowa. Again, 2 assists. It was the first star in that home game against Iowa. But he was pretty darn good. And honestly, my thing with Ortiz, I'm sad he's gone. But I will say, with Ortiz, we kind of have an embarrassment of riches on the defensive end. So that's something I really wanted to talk about with these call-ups after I mentioned the other one. But the depth we have this year is better than last year, especially on the back end. So the final person that got called up, we talked about a little bit, Callum Tongue.
This one hurt me the most.
Tongue got called up, and again, that makes the McKay move even bigger, because he really solidified himself as a possible starter in those games he played, and to be able to have that like safe feeling with your goalies is really important. There's also the fact that the Hartford Wolfpack are going to have 4 goalies on the roster. They're going to have Garand, Boyko, Tongue, and the Rangers sent Spencer Martin down.
Wow.
So, Hartford, stop being greedy. Give us one of them. I'll take Spencer Martin if you don't want him. I don't care. Why do you need 4 goalies?
That's a lot.
You don't need 4 goalies.
That is a lot.
But whatever. Hopefully Hartford will send one back down so we can have another 1A, 1B scenario. Because I was really planning on talking about how good this tandem is going to be, 1A, 1B, with McKay and Tongue. And now that entire segment is thrown out because Tongue isn't here anymore. But come on, Hartford. Just give me one. You don't need 4. You don't need 4 goalies. And if one get injured, then you can call one up. Why? Whatever.
I like your thought that you brought up about that, that 1-2 tandem and just kind of having that safe feeling, because I think there's a position in every sport like that, and in hockey it is the goalie. I mean, that he has to be your best skater, and a lot of times he is the guy that either takes all the blame or he takes all the glory.
Yep.
There's no in between. Everybody likes to say what he did right or what he did wrong, whether he had a good game or not. And I think that's like goalie changes for this team. I personally feel like are going to be the biggest tests. We can lose Chongmin Lee, which obviously will hurt, and we can lose other guys on the back end. But I think the goalie changes are going to test this team the absolute most. Considering their history with goalies, we've had unbelievable luck with who we've had in Bloomington.
Yeah.
And we saw how that affected us last year when we lost. His name is escaping me. I'm not going to think of it. But our goalies last year, Pretz, yes. When we lost him, it made a difference. And Dryden McKay, I mean, even this year, Barzewski, McKay, Tung, even Olas, a couple of the games that he's played in. I'm really interested to see how we handle those changes, because I think those are going to be massive for us.
With how Olas has performed this year, I feel a lot more comfortable with him as our backup, as the backup to McKay, and I think that can work pretty well as Olas-McKay pairing. I think that works well. I just checked the Hartford Wolfpack because I wanted to make sure I wasn't spouting lies, and no, yeah, they have 4 goalies on their roster right now. So, come on, Hartford, you don't need 4.
And I think you can even talk about that from playing roller hockey. I mean, if you had one consistent goalie, it would make things a heck of a lot easier, right?
In our second year that I played, if we had a consistent goalie the whole time, we would have been so much better. We finally it was a whole thing. I won't get into that because that's more personal, less than like that's roller, not the Bison. But yes, trust me, from playing that, you learn the importance of having a solid, trusted goalie behind you that you can rely on if you make a mistake. And now they have that in our boy Jared Bear. So shout out goalie Jared for the roller. He's been killing it this year too. Yeah, I'm just gonna little under the table, but yeah, ISU roller hockey hasn't lost a single game this year that isn't to Lindenwood D1.
Oh,
they've only lost 2 games, and both of them were to Lindenwood D1, who is quite literally the best team in the entire league, and not just like in the entirety of roller right now, not professional, but I'm saying college roller. Lindenwood D1's easy top 1. I mean, they just had I just saw recently they had a rematch against a past finals matchup against Grand Canyon, and they won 5-0. Lindenwood is very much so the best team in roller right now. So the fact that they've won every single game except for their games against it, exactly. Rollbirds, go ISU roller. Other than that, nice little side tangent. Yeah, I seriously just wish they would. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at their defensemen right now. They have 8 defensemen. They have, now that Chongmin Lee's on the Monster, so he's not on Hartford, but yeah, it's just those losses do hurt. But I was talking about it, the depth this year, especially on that back end,
yes,
for both goalies and defense, so much better this year. I was thinking of our defense pair with Chris Ortiz. The top one is likely Sheedov, Gavlis, and then it was Ortiz and why am I blanking? Riku Ishida on that side. Now it's likely becomes Colin Ferguson and Riku Ishida, which I actually like better. I really think Colin Ferguson's more rounded game and more effective poke checks and stuff like that he's able to bring would complement the offensive ability of Riku Ishida really well. So I do actually really like that pairing if that's going to continue. But that's why I say, as much as like all of those call-ups matter, out of them, I'm worried about the Chris Ortiz call-up the least because, one, he just got here. Like, he was good, don't get me wrong, but we were playing without him for multiple weeks and we were okay. And I've made my stance as a big Colin Ferguson fan, well known. So I'm excited. I hope he gets back into that top 4 role because he's good enough for it. I am a big fan of the game that Colin Ferguson brings. And then the bottom pair, likely, Brandon DeTema has been hitting it on that right side as of late. I'm not exactly sure who they're going to throw on that left side now. Now they're gone. I can look at their roster to try and see exactly who that likely bottom pair is. But again, the bottom pair is a lot less needed. Or not less needed. I'll say the bottom pair is a lot less important than your top 4. Because your bottom pair can be big for you, but if your top 4 is really good, then it's not as big of an issue if you just don't play your bottom pair as much, which I think is going to be likely with just not to shame Detema or anyone like that, just because that top 4 of Ashita, Ferguson, Shidov, and Gavlis have been really good.
Well, even if you if you get Datama to just step in and hold kind of steady Eddie, for lack of better terms, like you said, like if your top 4 can hold it down, then that bottom pair just needs to step in, quick shift, do their part, get on and off, and
exactly that bottom pair likely becomes some revolution of Brendan DeTema, Sung Jae Lee, and then Jesper Solomon Frissell, and they all bring their own good aspects to the game. And then I still am not exactly sure what's going on with Theo Caldas. He still is listed on the roster. I think he's still injured, but I'm not entirely sure. There hasn't really been a lot of news about that, but I can try and do my own research to figure out exactly what's going on through that.
Something also I think I saw happen with Dadajanov, but
yeah, he's not listed on the roster anymore, but they also don't really need him at this point. Like, he'd be their 8th defenseman. Actually, no, he'd be their 8th defenseman, not counting Theo Caldas. He'd be their 9th if you count him. So, and that again, that's not counting Chris Ortiz either, if he gets sent back down. So,
loaded back end.
Back end is a lot better. I do really hope that it's just. I mean, I don't hope he's injured, but I hope it's just that, because Caldas is a 6'5" defenseman who has put up points for a good team in past years. He's a good defenseman. So if he comes back and adds to that right side, like, I'm just imagining if Ortiz gets sent back down, your bottom pair is Colin Ferguson, Theo Caldas.
Sign me up.
That's ridiculous. That's an insanely good pair. I mean, that's one of the best in the league at that point by a good margin. Like, I thought it was insane last year how good our defense was, but that was mainly the top 4. Now our top 4 is already solidified as very good, and we're just worried about that bottom pair. So again, that depth on the back end, way better. I'm confident in our goalies, especially McKay. I explained why I love McKay so much, and I think he's going to do great. I don't know. I still am just. I think, honestly, I think McKay is even better than the ECHL. I think he's a higher level goal. I mean, you can't put up the most shutouts in NCAA history and not be that good. Like, I get it. Like, Minnesota State is kind of known for their, like, defensive play and how they played around him. That's how he made the Hobey Baker finalist 2 years in a row. But, like, man, like, you can't be that good. And
you don't make a Hobey Baker finalist because of your defense.
Exactly. You make a Hobey Baker finalist because you're insanely good. And especially as a goalie, like goalies don't win that often in the Hobey Baker. So seriously, McKay is, I think, just league-wide underrated. I think he has even more to give than what he's currently doing. So I'm very hyped about McKay as the starter. And then again, Olas has proved himself as a more than capable backup for this team. The forward core, I mean, losing Sean Minley definitely hurts. It's not great.
That's what worries me the most. If you were to ask me what call up worries me the most about making this team's production go down offensively or defensively, it's hands down Chong Minley.
Yeah. Though luckily with how good Kyle Jackson's been this year, we've kind of have that extra piece that can fill his the void that he left, we'll say. For some reason, the ECHL thing wasn't giving me their forward roster, so I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, I'm still a big fan of Lou Felix Denis. He's still there. I think Aiden McDonald is going to come back soon. I think that was also injury, but there's just a ton there. We added more as well. People like Sullivan Mack. Oh my gosh. Ilya Suglian.
Oh, yeah, I saw that name. I have no clue how you say that.
Yeah, after the whole Kalian Kovas debacle, I'm just going to say that.
Kalinin Kovas.
Exactly. Kalini Kovas.
I finally figured that out.
Yeah, Kalani Kovas. So I'm just going to pretend like I'm not going to pretend like I know how to say it necessarily. I need to get on. That's on me. I need to get on that. But yeah, Johnny Evans got bumped up to the top line. Good for him. But yeah, there's just been a lot of guys really putting in effort here. Yeamans has been great as that bottom 6 role. Still a huge fan of Shane Ott. He got his first
Otter.
He got his first first pro goal, and I think second pro goal in that first Fuel game, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he was 2 of those goals. So shout out Otter for getting his first goal, but I'm confident in the forward core as well. I mean, Budgell's still that second line center. You still got Eddie and Kyle Jackson on the top line. Like, I'm confident on the forward core. And again, we talked about how important depth is, especially in this league, and they've addressed that. And it feels like also that this year that the way that they've addressed that is a way that's not going to have all your best players called up halfway through the season as well. Where like last year, we had a really good offense and depth, but when everyone would get called up, like
it's like we had nobody left.
Exactly. Like it was getting a little like thin there on the fourth line and stuff like that. But I'm confident in the depth of this team now, and even with those 3 call-ups, I'm not going to say that it doesn't hurt, but it's going to be all right. The team can still come together. They have a good defensive core, good goalies, and I still think this team can absolutely make noise if they get into the postseason.
I do agree with that. I think our depth is better. Not to say that it doesn't still worry me about Chonger. But I do agree. I think we have better depth, and I think this is where, if I had one of my biggest critiques of this team last year, was the way that they tried to piece the puzzle together to try and make that playoff run. I don't think they found it. I don't think that they found the right... Maybe they had the right pieces. They just didn't put them together right last year.
Well, it was also last year there was so much turnover over the year. Like, there was so many trades, so many people in and out. Like, how are you supposed to get good chemistry if you're constantly moving people in and out, and some are doing great, some are not? Like,
and I think we definitely have better chemistry and continuity this year,
which was what we talked about at the beginning of the year being incredibly important.
And I think one of the things I'm going to be watching for big down the stretch is how does Coach Barsky handle that, because I think some of the way he handled that last year was maybe a little bit questionable at times, but again, like you said, he was handcuffed a lot. What is he supposed to do? He's not going to have a ton of control, but I think that's what he's paid to do. He's the head coach, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm personally going to be watching for is how is he going to find the right pieces to fit together this year and learn from last year to hopefully push us into the playoffs comfortably.
Gotcha. Well, now it seems that we're getting close to wrapping up. There's a few things before we do. One, I think this upcoming episode will likely be another 2-week gap, mainly because the only games from now until basically like a week from now, there's 2 games and they're both away. And I'd rather talk about a home game, no offense, because I get to watch it and be there and fully more understand the game than I mean, I still watch the away games, but it's like I mean, sometimes I'm busy. I can't be able to I catch the highlights and as much of the play as I can, but sometimes on those away games, I mean, as we talked about, we're busy. Like, we got stuff to do, and even though this is important to us, like,
yes, life
happens. I'm sure everyone here can understand that. So will probably be another 2 week there just because I don't necessarily just want to talk about the 2 away games. The 2 away games that will happen are they face the Fuel this Wednesday. They face the Fuel this Wednesday in Indy. So this, I think, is absolutely a makeup game. Like you had a rough time against Indy. You went 1-3 or 1-2 against them over your 3-game stand against them. That's a little rough, especially against a team that's that important to be good against.
Yes.
So now you're going to their barn again. All right. I think that's. I mean, it's early in the season, so there's not necessarily must wins this early, but this is one of the closer ones to a must win on the year, because especially how bad you did in the series against them so far, that's a game that I think they have circled on their calendars that they should really get. I don't know if they do, obviously, but especially after the way they played the last couple weeks against them, I think they're going to really want to show out in that game.
Yeah, I like to categorize these games as, like you said, it's not a must-win. It's not like you're going to get eliminated or anything like that, but I like to call them a gotta-have-it game.
Yep.
Because you feel like if you do get it, it will build momentum for the near future games, obviously. But when it comes down to the standings, it's gonna make
the feel.
You're gonna look back and you're gonna say, "Glad we got that one."
Then we also have a game Friday against Fort Wayne at Fort Wayne. So that's going to be a really hard game. If you can get even a point out of that, that's going to be huge because that's currently the leader of the division at their barn. So if you're able to get a point, or heaven forbid 2, that'd be huge. That'd be huge against a really good opponent. And then the other games that will happen before we talk again, if we're going to wait those 2 weeks again, they face Iowa in a back-to-back. Again, on Wednesday, the 26th, they face Iowa in Iowa. And then Friday, the 28th, Black Friday, they're back at home against Iowa again at Grossinger Motors. And then finally, they play Iowa again Sunday, the 30th, at Iowa.
No time like the present to go deer hunting, baby.
Exactly. Like, you had a great series against them, 2 wins. They're gonna put their foot on the gas the second they're able to, especially in that first game against them at their barn. After you beat them at their barn and they had the lead in shots, they're going to come out flying, I'm sure. So be careful in that game, but 3 games in a row against the Heartlanders, you should definitely get some points there. And those are the games upcoming to watch. Our last thing before we leave, we have our 2 segments.
Yes, sir.
First, we have our rule of the day. We hadn't necessarily talked about one, but I'll give one hand pass.
Oh, good one.
Because it's talked about a little bit less commonly, so some people don't understand. So in hockey, if someone's trying to clear the puck, you can grab it out of midair. You can touch the puck with your hands. It's not a penalty to just touch the puck with your hands. You can't, like, swipe it with your glove or something like that.
Or cover it.
Or cover it.
Yeah.
But if it's in the air and, like, let's say they're trying to clear it, you can grab it out of the air and put it right in front of you. You just have to drop it immediately. You just can't hold on to it. However, if you pluck it out of the air, drop it, and your teammate grabs it, that's a hand pass, and play will be called dead. So if you do grab it, for whatever reason, and drop it down, or even just lots of times where a hand pass will happen, where someone's trying to keep it in or something like that, and they'll just swat at it, and it'll go down, and then a teammate, you can't grab it or swat it. If it's off your hand, it's got to go to your stick, not a teammate's. And that's hand pass. That's one that's, again, it's not a rule that gets used that often because people don't use their hands that often, and if they do, again, they're dropping it right in front of themselves. But if you're mad about a call and they say it's hand pass, they can sometimes be harder to see, harder to fully find it as a ref. But hand pass, definitely something not allowed if you grab it and your teammate picks it up. So that is hand pass. That is the rule.
A lot of things, just real quick, for, like, if you're watching for it and you're trying to figure out, if it is going to be called a hand pass or not. Let's say the Bison, toss it, and it is off of the hand of a Bison. A lot of times you'll see the team kind of intentionally not touch it
Yep.
And you'll see them try to push the opposing team to touch it first. Because if the opposing team touches it first, then play continues as normal.
Yep.
So
it has to be
look for that.
to the team that touched the hand, their teammates. It's got to go off of them for it to be a problem. And then finally, we'll have our question of the day.
Ooh.
We hadn't thought of one before the podcast, actually. So we'll see our questioning here live. What do you think the question of the day should be today?
Well, I think going with the theme of call-ups and depth and all that, who do we think could possibly step up the biggest in Lee's absence?
That's a good one. And I'll broaden it a little bit. Just who on the Bison do you think is going to step up the most in the absence of the call-ups? So
There you
Ortiz,
go. Yep.
Tung, and Lee. Out of all of the groups, that hits one on each, the defense forward and goalie. So any Bison player that you can think of, who do you think is going to step up the most after those call-ups? For me, I mean, I've already made it known who I think it is. I think it's going to be Dryden McKay. I think he's really going to solidify himself as that number one starter and be the guy for the Bison unless another goalie gets sent down. Because, again, Hartford has 4 goalies. I don't know why you need that many, but whatever. But, yeah. And even if they do get sent down, I just think it's going to be a 1A, 1B scenario.
Yep.
Because I really have that much faith in McKay. I think he's going to step up. If I had to say another one, I'll go with another one that's pretty obvious for me. I think Colin Ferguson is going to be step up in the absence of Ortiz. I think he was good enough to easily stay in that top 4, and being bumped down to at least from what I saw, more of a bottom pair role after Ortiz got here. It partially isn't his fault. I mean, it was Ortiz who's an AHL level defenseman at this point, and Shidov who was in the KHL. Like those are 2 guys you're gonna have to work really hard to be able to jump in the depth chart. But now that Ortiz is gone, giving Ferguson that ability again, I think he's gonna take it and run with it. So those are the 2 I think are gonna step up the most. But then again, those are also just 2 of my favorite players on the team. So there might be some bias.
I couldn't agree with you more. I love goaltenders. I have a thing for goaltenders. My little brother played goalie, so I think our goaltenders, McKay, is going to have to step up, and I think he will. And I'm going to go with someone who already has stepped up, but I think he will continue and maybe even take it to the next level, but Kyle Jackson.
I mean, it's hard to say when he's going to step up after him being the team leader in points by a good margin. But yeah,
he will take it to the next level. How about that?
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, what is it? I think he's like 15 points or 14 points in 11 games. So he's already killing it. Maybe if he can turn another gear. Honestly, I'm worried if he can turn another gear because he's gonna get called up if he can turn into another gear. I mean, oh man.
All right, turn it up just like half a notch. So you keep what you're doing, maybe a little bit better, but stay in Bloomington, please.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Kyle Jackson, just keep doing what you're doing. I'm happy with your current point production. I just don't get called up, please. And that's, again, no shade to you. We love Kyle Jackson. If he's good enough to get called up, he'll get called up, and we'll be happy for him. It's just that would really make a huge impact on our offense. So I would to have both Lee and Jackson gone. So
I may have just spoken some bad juju into the universe.
let's hope not. But that should be it for the episode today. Let us know again in the comments who you think is going to step up the most.